Hi guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of our budget. In the first part we created and just did some basic editing and we formatted our document. If you remember, it looks something like this. And I want to remind you that as we go through the video, and that it's really important that you guys remember to stop and pause the video so you can perform sort of in practice on your document. When all is said and done, you should be able to do this on your own after watching the video. So, a couple of other things, if you notice where we're heading, is I just want to point out to you, this is a properly formatted budget. If you were working in an accountant or trying to format your budget, it would look like this. When we total numbers, it would go in the right-hand column. Would be considered the right-hand column. And this is considered sort of working numbers. When we start doing some calculations, and that's what this section is about, is starting to think about how we add numbers and can create formulas in spreadsheets. We're just keeping that in mind, that this is for totals, this is for numbers that we're thinking about. Before we go on to that, I want you to sort of open up a new sheet, and remember we can click on this plus and it will open up sheets. We can drag sheets by just left clicking and putting our mouse on it and dragging and dropping. You can hit the down arrow and rename a sheet. Play a sheet. And I want to show you just a couple of things. If I type in one number, second number, and if I left click and drag and grab that fill handle, it'll copy that series down for me. I can also copy numbers across, and it will copy the numbers across. I can left click. That does not work. I keep going to try something. Sorry about that. If I had a date, January 1, January 2nd, and did the same thing, it would copy that for me. I can format those numbers, and I have a date and time, financial, scientific. So that's how we can format our dates and time. And I just wanted to show you how it will copy a series by using that fill handle. If I just have one number, it will copy that number across. All right, we can practice with that later. All right, in this section, formulas, we're going to be working and creating some simple formulas using Excel. Not Excel, sorry, we're in Spreadsheets. I have some shortcuts over here that we might come across and we might use. And these are the instructions that we're going to use. First thing we need to do is step 1, is to select, see this little colon, B3 through D18? That's called a cell range. So I want to click on the cell right in the middle of the cell, B3, and I'm going to drag all the way down to D18. And with that, I want to go up and I want to format that as numbers and financial. So that's format, number, and financial. Notice that parentheses there? When we're dealing with numbers in accounting, that parentheses indicates a negative number. All right, next thing I want to do is I want to step over back to our original document, and I just want to show you I have some lines put in there. Those were put in by using borders. I can put a line below. I want to total something up. Those lines just indicate where we're going to be putting some totals in. And I just use the line formatting, border style, border color. I can change colors there, and I can change the style if I want, but we'll leave it like that. Those lines just indicate that we were doing some formatting and totaling up some numbers here. All right, so our next step, you might want to pause and change the number formatting. Notice it added decimal points and a comma. Next step is to create a formula in cell C17. So find my column C, go down to 17. And we want a formula that will add all the cells in the range. B8, which is 2,500, down to our miscellaneous. Now, don't do this, but watch. We could go equals B8 plus B9 plus 200, which is B10, and on. But that would take up a lot of time, and if I added a number in there, it wouldn't calculate. The odds of me making an error are pretty great. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the equal sign, which is important because it tells it the spreadsheet that I'm going to have a formula. I want to sum or add whatever's in the parentheses. Close that and hit enter. So that the monthly expenses that we're spending is $5,100. Another way we can do that is come over to that shortcut I told you about and select sum and just highlight the cell range that you want to add up. That's called the cell range. And see how it writes the cell range? Enter. Great. Pause and play with that a little bit yourself. Okay, welcome back. We're on step number 3. Create a formula in C3. That calculates what the monthly income is. Now this is our annual income. We want to calculate our monthly income. And to do that, we're going to create a formula, so we need the equal sign. And I'm going to click on the cell. I want my annual income, and I want to divide that by 12 for the number of months in the year. I'm going to hit enter. $5,000 is how much I make every month. If my salary changes to $100,000, watch what happens to the number in C3. Notice how that number changes? That's really important. We'll take a look at that later. Remember when you did your project and you came up with your salary information? Well, we're going to use that in here. I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to call this part 1, and we're going to come back in a minute for part 3.